So this one house in particular that we lived in. So my parents had stone put on the front of the house, along the bottom part of the house, and really nice siding put on this particular house, and black shutters. It was just a beautiful home. As I said, I was raised in a beautiful black middle class neighborhood, and everybody kept up their their um, their homes and their yards. Um, but I should say, but my dad, he loves cutting grass, maintaining the yard, and when my dad would get done with cutting the grass, I loved the way the grass looked, and I would literally lay in the yard. Um, so this one time in particular, my dad had back then too. This is something that's really different. Like cutting grass back then, the lawnmowers had a catcher on it. It caught the clippings, the grass clippings, and so the yard had a really clean look. Like it really looked nice. And that catcher would fill up with grass, and then my dad would have to empty it into. Initially, it was garbage bags, and then they started putting out those big trash cans for clippings for yard waste. But today it's weird because I don't see lawnmowers with those catchers anymore that catch the grass, the grass clippings. But my dad, he would get done with the yard, and the yard never was overgrown because he kept it immaculate. But it's something about fresh cut grass. And this one time in particular, my dad, he had put everything up, and he always liked to stand there and look at the yard, seeing the work that he had done, the great work he had done. And, we talked and stuff, and he went in to shower, and I went out into the yard. And this particular house, it had a tree on each, like the front part of the house. It was one by the driveway and one by the border of our neighbor. So they were like two trees basically that bordered the front yard. And I used to love, oh gosh, in the summer to lay there in the grass under those trees. And I would love to look up where the canopies touched, the canopies met at the top. And I used to love to look up and watch, like when the breeze would come through and seeing the flicker of the sunlight through the canopy. And I'm not kidding. Several times I fell asleep out there in the yard. I mean, it was so super comforting. And one time in particular, and I remember this so clearly, um, I turned on my side and I could see the sun like flickering through the leaves on my arm. And I thought, man, that's so pretty, my skin. And I just was like dazzled by it. And then I rolled over my other side, on my right side, and I looked at the sun doing the same thing, playing that pretty light on my arms. And something happened that day. I really fell in love with my melanin, with my skin. And I just remember looking at my arms, seeing how pretty my skin is. And I kissed my right arm and I kissed my left arm. And I laid out there in that grass, and I did fall asleep in the grass. And I guess my mom had been looking for me, and she sent my brother out there. He woke me up, and he was like, "I'm in trouble." because he said, Mama, but I was right out in the front yard. She was looking for me in the house. I guess she thought I was in there. So he, woke me up. But I just remember that just being one of the most peaceful moments of my life. And something happened that day. I literally fell in love with my skin color. I fell in love with my skin color. I fell in love with my melanin. And so for me, um, it's all of this teaching our children to really love themselves is it's not an easy task to raise a black child to love themselves. It's not. And I can't, like I said earlier, I can't even say that it's just in this country. It literally is on every continent. It's a difficult task, but it's a needed task. It's something that's a necessity. Our society, Black society, is in the condition it's in because of self hate. That's the number one reason. It's not because of any other race. It's because of self hate. And we really need to acknowledge that and do the work to correct that. And to bring it all back, again, I did not plan on this being this long, but it's been this long. Like I said, about 30 minutes. That was the plan. But I, you know, I can get long-winded, as you all can see. Um, so I just want to close this up by saying that first we need to do the work. We need to think about things before we have children. There needs to be the accidental births and pregnancies in the Black community need to cease. It needs to be done with intent. And before we even conceive our children, we need to sit with the person that we decide to have. That's important, that we decide to have children with. We need to sit and talk with them about how we're going to raise them, what the plan is, talk about how the difficulties of it on this planet, and what we need to do to counter those difficulties. We want to raise strong, beautiful, intelligent, self-loving children, not kids who, talk about other Black kids, who bully other Black kids. Because I was bullied by Black children when I was in junior high school. Now it stopped in high school because they realized, who my brother was. And I would never forget one day somebody had said something about me, and I didn't turn around to see who said either one of these things, but somebody said, "That's so-and-so sister." And it stopped. That was my freshman year. Because my brother he can fight. My dad can, my uncles, and that all stopped right then. But I knew how people, saw me. I mean, other Black people just thought I was a nerd, like I was an outsider. That's just the way it's always been. But we have to raise our Black children to love themselves first and to love other Black people, and that we don't all have to be, like a certain type of Black person. We have variety in our ranks, some of us are one way, some are another. And we shouldn't, it's funny because Black people who judge other Black people don't want to be judged. They'll talk about another race judging them while they're judging a Black person because they don't act thuggish enough. And so that's insane. They don't even stop to think about that. We just have so much work to do, in our community. And it all starts with how we see ourselves, with us loving ourselves. We have to truly love ourselves and then raise our children to do the same. We have to be thoughtful about who we choose to have children with. and have that all planned out before the conception even happens. So when you lay up and you have children accidentally, you don't even know the person. I mean, this is the mess that creates a mess. If you could stop and think just for a moment, if Black society, like if we really, and again, I'm not talking about marriage, I'm talking about family. I'm talking about family, um, but not necessarily marriage. Because, and I'll explain later in another piece about my views on that. But to raise our children with loving parents, and that first love themselves so that they can pass that self-love on to their offspring, and let that cycle continue, and that our society, Black society, would be completely different than it is now. It would be as it is supposed to be. The way it is now is not the way it's supposed to be. And I mean, to me, my opinion is that there should be no such thing as synthetic hair for Black women. It just should not be. That's my opinion, and I have a right to it, and I believe that. Um, we should love our own hair, no matter what the texture is. I mean, we're taught to hate it, and we embrace those teachings. That's what's, oh God, I have so much to say about this stuff, but I want to stay focused on the parenting aspect. We just we have to do better with raising our children. Another thing too, I just want to say really quick before I end this one, is I've noticed that, so our history, um, I don't know if I should actually get it. I'll just go across the surface of this topic really quick. We have to start teaching our Black children about our Black history here on this continent and on the home continent. We need to really teach our children about the leaders, the kings and queens that from our lineage. And because I'm learning stuff right now that I didn't even know, and I'm not a child anymore. I'm older, and that's insane to me. That a lot of that was, I don't know, like hidden from me, taken from me, stolen from me. I didn't even know about some of these, some of the people in our lineage and in our history, and I mean Black history, which is insane. Because so when I came up, all I knew is that, like, it seemed like our history started with slavery, but there's so much more. Oh my God, we've been lied to so much, so much, so much. I'll get into that in another video, but it's up to Black parents to teach our Black children about our Black history. That's essential. It's up to us. That's our responsibility. It's no one else's responsibility. I heard a guy say, like in schools, like in these schools in America, that they should start teaching the truth about. We can't expect that. And to me, I wouldn't even want them to be over that. Black households should be over that. Black moms, Black dads should be over that. That's our responsibility to our children, to teach them the truth. So some of the inventions, the things that have been invented and created by Black people, we don't even know about. And some of the horrors that have happened to us, that should be taught. Our children should know the truth. But we have to learn that first ourselves. Because there's a lot that I didn't even know. But I'm learning now. I'm learning. I'm very intentful on it. I want to know the truth. So that's also a very vital part of us raising our children to love themselves. They have to know themselves first. They have to know their history. And before that can happen with them, we have to do that as adults and their parents. Okay, so I ask you all to please forgive me if this was somewhat of a rant. I did jump, all over the place. Things were popping in my mind. I guess I should have an outline so I could stay on track. I sort of had one in my mind, but I know I went off. this channel, and I guess I'll call it a channel or whatever, but I I didn't really want to call it a channel because it sounds too technical or something. This is more of an emotional mission for me. Um, and so that's why channel doesn't sound right to me. But anyway, this is, you know, I'm going to have a lot of different topics on this, oh gosh, channel. I just said I don't want to say that. I got to think of the word I want to use for that. But it's not, it's going to be about Black topics. It's going to be about, I love space. I love it. I'm in love with the moon and the sun. I um, I have beautiful photos that I've taken of the moon. Gosh, the moonlight. I love the moon and the sun and Saturn, and I have dreams about, you know, about space, and it really draws me. So some of the topics will be, not maybe, but will be about that, um, about TV shows, about songs that I like, blah blah blah. It's gonna be about a bunch of different things. It's not gonna be about anything, just one specific topic. It's not gonna be just about any one thing. So that's what this is going to be about. I ask that you all please be patient with me. I need to get this organized and figure out the structure of it all because I don't want to just always go on a rant. I got to get, structured with it. And I do want to thank you all for taking the time because your time is precious, I know, to listen to this. And another thing, too, I mean, for the most part, I may have visuals with the videos, but the main thing for me, I really want people to hear my words. I want people to focus on my words. So I'm not going to have like videos per se with them. It's going to be mainly just, like you can sit down in a chair and close your eyes, or you sit with your eyes open or whatever. Just sit and listen to my words. You don't have to worry about, looking at the TV to you're going to miss something. There are some that are going to have visuals though, but for the most part, it's not. At this point, it's not going to be visually oriented. It's going to be mainly like this, like about, you know, heed my words. Yeah. So again, I really want to thank you all for listening. And I do know that your time is precious, and for you to actually lend some to me is a blessing, and I thank you for that. I hope that you all check in on the next video. I'm not for sure, or I should say peace. I hope that you all check in on the next piece that I do. And I thank you again for listening. You all have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever time that you listen to this. Be safe and take care.